healthcare specialist Dave Johnson joining us. And for so many here in the state of Louisiana, in our area too, look, blood pressure is a serious issue for us, and medication, a lot of folks are on it. So Dave is joining us today. And does it help in any way if you're on the medicine? Mr. Johnson, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Bernadette. A pleasure to be with you this morning.
So I saw this article and I said, well, I really got to know a little bit more about this. Do we know what researchers know? I mean, is there, some health benefits, maybe a less severe case of coronavirus if we are on certain blood pressure medicines?
Yeah, for better or worse, COVID has provided a massive data set for how the coronavirus interacts with human beings. And the study you're referring to is what they call a meta-study. So it was a summary of 19 studies with 28,000 patients. Wow. And they found that patients on high blood pressure medications were 2/3 less likely to have a severe illness or death. So that's true.
So is it a certain kind of blood pressure medicine? Because I'm assuming there's lots of different kinds. I'm only saying that because of the ones that I know that I'm on. So are there different classes of drugs that maybe might help more, or do we know much about that part?
Well, the study specifically references two types: the ACE inhibitors, which are the most widely used, and then angiotensin receptor blockers. So those are the two, and those are what most people are on when they have high blood pressure.
So the outcomes look like they're better, like less severe cases.
That's
amazing.
Yeah, to put it in perspective. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
To put it into perspective, we also know that people with chronic disease are much more susceptible to coronavirus or to having a severe reaction to coronavirus requiring hospitalization or even going into the ICU. Now, those people that have a chronic disease like high blood pressure and are on these medications to control it, my belief is that it has a beneficial impact in terms of reducing inflammation. And since the coronavirus is very aggressive in attacking people with chronic disease, the ability of these medications to reduce inflammation is probably what's resulting in this positive benefit that we're seeing. So we're learning a lot more as more and more cases come before us.
Yeah. And the thing is, now in Louisiana, they have recognized that the UK variant is making its way here through Louisiana. And so,
right.
the
scary.
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm. It seems like every time we kind of get a handle on one aspect of COVID, it's flipping. And now we have something else to deal with.
Yeah, this is a very wily virus. It will be a year ago this week that we had the first case in the U.S. in Washington State. And you might recall at the very beginning, we thought only symptomatic people spread the disease. And now we know that over half the time, asymptomatic people are spreading it, which is why it's so dangerous. And all viruses mutate, and sometimes they mutate in more aggressive ways. And this British strain is what we're really in a race to see whether our efforts in public health and vaccination can outpace this the change and growth of this very aggressive virus. Mm-hmm. So it is scary. On the good news side, we have developed vaccines in a record time, and they're remarkably successful. To me, that accomplishment is the equivalent of the moonshot or the Manhattan Project to develop a nuclear bomb. Yeah. Good news, bad news, but right now we're in the thick of it.
So I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to tell David Johnson that's what I kind of was speculating with all the research going into this at such warp speed that we're bound to come up with some discoveries that we weren't looking for. So I was going to ask about some of the language in your news release, sir. These antihypertension medications have some certain blockers. Angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors or angiotensin receptive blockers. Why can you kind of explain that in layman's terms about why that's in an anti-hypertension medication and exactly how does that potentially benefit someone that may have contracted COVID?
Yeah, well, we've known since ancient times that inflammation in the body is highly dangerous, and this drug, as well as the ACE inhibitors, are, in sort of basic terms, reduce inflammation and therefore reduce the corrosive impact of the disease on the human body. The other thing I'd add, Mark, is we've learned a lot, right? I mean, remember in New York when this first hit, we didn't really know how to treat the disease, and we've now learned that putting people on their stomachs before putting them on a ventilator is remarkably effective. That's called proning. Uses of steroids and antiviral drugs like remdesivir have proven to be very effective in the treatment as well. So, the death rate has come down to some extent because we know how to treat the disease more effectively when we have standardized the protocols.
How fascinating is all of this? It's amazing. So for people who are hearing this, you think this might motivate some doctors to, or at least the researchers to consider, finding a way to make this usable for people who don't have blood pressure issues? Can they give something that pops up the blood pressure, but then this would reduce it, but give you maybe something that would help make it easier if you do get COVID, or is that just crazy?
Well, I don't know if it's crazy, but the best thing is not to have high blood pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, well, healthcare specialist and author of 2 books, Market versus Medicine and the Customer Revolution in Healthcare, Dave Johnson. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, take
pleasure.
care.